Diary. Good evening. It's a windy Saturday afternoon and I am pleased to report that you are now looking at the Olympic distance finishers, Marcus and Agatha. We both finished our Olympic distance triathlon in very good times for us. Marcus was under 3 hours at a staggering 2 hours and 45 minutes. And Agatha was, darling, 3 hours 18, her first ever Olympic distance triathlon. Both very good times for us. The race report is as follows. There was quite a lot of faffing around in the morning trying to get everything ready for the 10 AM start, and we slightly over-prepared, I would say, by getting up quite early, and we were kind of waiting around quite a lot. But luckily we didn't go down to the transition area till about 8:30, 8:45, which was lucky because people had been told it was going to open earlier and had been waiting there, and it didn't open earlier. So we didn't have to wait any time at all really, and bunged our bikes in the transition area, and then we shortly afterwards, by about 9:15, we got our wetsuits on, still in the stadium area, and then we progressed to walk to the start of the race, which is at the, sort of like the north end of the pool, if you like. The swim on the triathlon was, for me, most traumatic. One thing was I got hit in the jaw by somebody's elbow, and it really made me think I might have broken or lost a tooth or something, but nothing actually happened, which was great. I did keep on swimming, but it was a bit like shooting fish for the whole of the 1.5 km swim. Agatha had a little bit better luck because she stayed a little bit behind, and I think had slightly less contention with the people. But I let a load of people go ahead as well, but then they weren't swimming quite as fast as me, so it was difficult trying to overtake lots of people. And I followed Tanya's advice of swimming to the right, which worked quite well, except for the fact that then you had to swim to the left to get around the boys, because you'd tried to give other people such a wide berth that it wasn't working. Anyway, the swim finished, and after 5 minutes of faffing around, I managed to change my clothes. I couldn't get my top on at all because my upper body was all wet, and I was standing there with my top half on. Then I was able to put my hat on, and I was just struggling to get that top on. It's a great top, that Canterbury top, and it did do very well in the cycle and the subsequent run. But getting it on, I mean, it was just, 30 seconds of comic put on. So anyway, we started the cycle, and it was tremendously windy. I would say that the benefit of going quickly on the course was that I think it got windier as time progressed. So people who were actually slower on the bike had a harder time than people who were quicker overall, if you see what I mean. The most surprising bit was it was so windy on the downhill stretch, on the end of the loop of the bike to Tim and Fire, I think it was, that when you got to the sharp U-turn point and then started coming back up the hill, it was just a total relief. You could sort of double your speed on the way up the hill because you had a wind pushing behind you, and not sort of a strong wind, in fact, not one which was straight in your face. So that was the cycle, and then we went on to the run. The run was, I think, a little unusual for the standards of the town, because this town, the Lanzarote, they had a little bit off-road in the sense that came out of the stadium, went round the back like an off-road bit to join the road, and then went down the road towards La Santa, town of La Santa, and then sort of shot off to the right up a dirt track and came to a turn point, and then came down the dirt track. So there were 2 points where it was dirt track, and I heard a couple of people weren't too happy about that. Anyway, we were quite happy, and I managed to make hopefully pleasant comments to all the people we saw in our beginners triathlon class as we sort of crossed in different directions. So to my knowledge we all finished. I think one of the guys, I think it was Lars, the guy who couldn't swim front crawl at the beginning of the triathlon, he finished, and he even had a puncture. He's a hero. I don't know how his swimming went, but he got out last, I think, of all the competitors. And then on his bike he had a safety pin embedded in his toe, which caused him to have a puncture. And he said he changed a puncture in 5 minutes, which has got to be a personal best for him, and for probably for anybody. So he finished even, and we all finished. Got to finish, obviously, Stefania, Marianne, Trace, and Sue, and many other people that we've made friends with during the last week. So in all, fantastic time. We've returned the bicycles that we hired from ProBike, and we got back to La Santa, and we've had a bit of a nibble. I've had a lovely sports massage, and now it's time for dinner.